Okay, let's talk about that weight on your chest. That heavy, pressing, almost suffocating ache right in the middle of your rib cage that showed up when the relationship ended. You've probably caught yourself putting a hand over your heart, like you're trying to hold something in place. And maybe a part of you is wondering if you're overreacting, if it should really hurt this much. It should. This pain is real. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening inside you, and more importantly, how to stop the chest pain after a breakup naturally. Here's the first thing worth knowing. Your brain does not have a separate department for emotional pain and physical pain. When researchers at Columbia and UCLA put recently heartbroken people into brain scanners and showed them photos of their ex, the exact same regions lit up as when someone gets a hot cup of coffee spilled on their hand. The anterior cingulate cortex, the insula, these are your pain processors, and honestly, they can't really tell the difference between a burned finger and a broken heart. So when you feel that literal ache in your chest, that's not drama. That's neuroscience, and it's been replicated in study after study. Why on earth would evolution wire us this way? Because for most of human history, losing your person meant losing your tribe, and losing your tribe usually meant you didn't survive the winter. Your nervous system still runs on that old software. It treats the end of a close bond like a genuine threat to your life. So the panic at 3 in the morning, the restless legs, the tight throat, the chest that won't loosen, that's an ancient alarm system doing exactly what it was built to do. You're not broken. You're functioning just a little too well for the situation. Now, underneath all of that, there's a chemical storm happening. For months, maybe years, your brain has been getting steady little doses of dopamine from this person. A text notification, a laugh, a touch. That's the same reward circuit that lights up for chocolate, for gambling, for cocaine. Helen Fisher's team at Rutgers actually showed with brain scans that rejected lovers' brains look strikingly similar to people going through drug withdrawal. So if you feel a pull to check their Instagram for the 12th time today, that's not weakness of character. That's a very real craving in a very real addiction pathway. On top of the dopamine crash, your cortisol, the main stress hormone, is doing the opposite. It's spiking. This is why you can't sleep, why your appetite is weird, why your shoulders are made of concrete, why you keep getting little colds. Cortisol is supposed to be a quick burst for emergencies, not a bath you sit in for weeks. And while it's elevated, it constricts your blood vessels and amps up your heart rate, which contributes directly to that ongoing tightness you keep feeling right in your chest. Your body is running hot, trying to protect you from a threat that isn't physically there. There's actually a condition doctors call Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, nicknamed broken heart syndrome, where intense emotional loss can temporarily change the shape of the heart muscle and mimic an actual heart attack. It's rare and usually resolves on its own, but it tells you something important. Heartbreak isn't just a metaphor. The body takes it seriously, which is exactly why trying to just think positive and push through doesn't really work. You can't think your way out of a nervous system that's in crisis. You have to work with the body first. Body first, mind second. So let's start with the very first tool, and it's a quiet one. It's called naming. When you're spiraling, pause for 1 second and try to finish this sentence out loud. Right now, I feel. And then pick just one word. Lonely, scared, unwanted, betrayed, exhausted, numb. UCLA researcher Matthew Lieberman ran brain scans showing that the simple act of labeling an emotion reduces activity in the amygdala, the fear center of your brain. Putting words on the feeling is like gently turning the volume knob down. Not off, just down enough that you can breathe again. Here's a subtle but powerful shift. Every feeling you have is pointing at something you need. Loneliness is pointing at your need for connection. Anger is pointing at your need for respect or fairness. Sadness is pointing at your need to be seen, to be held, to be heard. Your feelings aren't enemies trying to ruin you. They're messengers trying to help you. When you catch yourself in a wave, instead of asking, how do I make this stop? Try asking, what does this feeling want me to take care of? That one question changes everything. It turns pain into direction. There's actually a quiet, beautiful game built around this exact idea. A 3D sanctuary called Inner Phoenix, but more on that in a minute. Let's keep going first. Okay, let's talk about your breath, specifically your exhale. This is maybe the simplest, most evidence-based thing you can do right now in the next 30 seconds. Breathe in through your nose for a slow count of 4. Then breathe out through your mouth for a slow count of 8. Make the out-breath longer than the in-breath. Do that for about 2 minutes. Research from Vrije University in Brussels and others shows this pattern directly activates your vagus nerve and pulls you out of fight or flight. It works. It's free. And you have it with you right now, wherever you are. The reason this works is that you have this big, wandering nerve called the vagus nerve that runs from your brainstem down through your chest and into your gut. It's basically the main cable of your calm down system. When you exhale slowly, you're literally stimulating this nerve and telling your entire body, we are safe, we can stand down. It's like having a secret emergency button installed at birth. Most people just never learned it was there. And it is by far the fastest way to turn the volume down on that chest pain you've been carrying around all week. Another one that sounds weird but works fast. Cold water on your face. Fill a bowl with cold water and dunk your face for about 15 to 30 seconds, or just splash it on again and again. This triggers something called the mammalian dive reflex, which immediately slows your heart rate and calms your nervous system down. Free divers use it on purpose. Dialectical behavior therapists actually prescribe it to their clients in crisis. When the panic gets too loud to think, this is a physical shortcut to reset. Don't skip it just because it sounds silly. Try it the next time a wave hits. Now, movement. Even 10 minutes of walking outside shifts your chemistry in ways that medication tries to imitate. A 2016 meta-analysis in JAMA Psychiatry found that exercise is as effective as cognitive behavioral therapy for mild to moderate depression. You do not need a gym membership. You do not need to run a marathon. You need to put on shoes and go outside. The rhythm of walking actually helps your brain process emotion in a way that sitting still with your thoughts just cannot. Your body was designed to grieve in motion. That's how we were built. And if you can push a little harder, if you can sweat a little harder, do it. Researchers at the Turku Pet Center in Finland ran brain scans on people after high-intensity interval training and found significant endorphin release in the exact same brain regions that are hurting you right now. Your body makes its own natural painkillers. They're stronger and safer than anything in a pharmacy, and they turn on when you ask them to. So sprint for 30 seconds. Dance hard in your kitchen. Do 20 burpees. You don't have to enjoy it. You just have to move and let your body help you. Now, let's talk about something most people really struggle with. No contact. Not as punishment, not as a mind game to get them back, but as medicine. Every time you text, look at their photos, read old messages, or check their stories, your brain gets a tiny dopamine crumb. And tiny, unpredictable crumbs are exactly what keep addictions alive. It's the same mechanism that keeps people glued to slot machines. Inconsistent reward is the single most addictive pattern there is. Every check, every story watched, resets the clock on your healing. You're not moving on. You're just quietly feeding the loop. So if you can, block them. Block them everywhere. Mute their friends. Ask someone you trust to hold your phone on the hardest nights. I know that sounds extreme. I know part of you feels like you'd be losing the last thin thread that still connects you to them. But that thread is exactly what's keeping the wound open. Helen Fisher's research suggests that it usually takes about 6 to 12 weeks of genuine no contact for the brain to really start settling. That's not forever. That's one season of your life. You can do one season. When you catch your mind replaying the same argument for the 100th time, or running the same "what if I had only" loop, that's called rumination. It is one of the most common features of heartbreak, and one of the most exhausting. The tricky thing about rumination is it feels productive, like you're solving something important. You're not. You're digging a trench deeper and deeper. The way out is not to argue with the thoughts. It's to interrupt them with something that needs your full attention. A puzzle, a conversation, a demanding physical task. Your brain literally cannot ruminate and focus at the same time. Let's talk about writing. James Pennybaker at the University of Texas has spent over 30 years studying what happens when people write about emotional pain, and his results are remarkable. The protocol is simple. For 15 to 20 minutes a day, for about 4 days in a row, sit down and write continuously about what you're feeling. Don't worry about grammar. Don't edit. Just pour it out onto the page. Participants in his study showed measurable improvements in their immune function, slept better, and reported less depression even months later. It's one of the cheapest, most powerful interventions ever studied. But here's the key detail most people miss. Writing doesn't work because you just vent. Venting alone can actually make it worse because it deepens the same neural grooves over and over. What works is when the writing starts turning chaos into a story. A beginning, a middle, something you learned, something you see differently now. Your brain calms down when scattered pain becomes a coherent narrative. So at some point in your writing, zoom out. What was this relationship teaching you? Who were you when it started? Who are you becoming now? That's where the healing actually lives. Next one, and honestly this might be the most underrated. Reach out to people who love you. Yoram Yuval, a neuroscientist who specifically studies emotional pain, puts it beautifully. He says the instinct to isolate after heartbreak is almost always the opposite of what actually helps. Real human contact, a hug, a laugh with a friend, a shared meal, triggers the release of your body's own natural opioids, your endorphins. These are stronger, safer, and more sustainable than anything you could reach for as a substitute. If you've been struggling to even send a text, send one right now. Let someone back in. And if reaching out feels like too much right now, just be around people. Go to a coffee shop. Go to the park. Sit in the library. Take a class. Just being in the physical presence of other humans, even without talking to anyone, sends signals to your nervous system that you are not alone. You are not in danger. You belong to something bigger. We are herd animals at the deepest level. Isolation magnifies heartbreak. Simple proximity to your fellow humans is quietly, genuinely healing, even when you don't feel connected to a single one of them in the moment. Let's talk about sunlight. Within the first hour of waking up, go outside and let the morning light hit your eyes for at least 10 minutes. Don't wear sunglasses. Don't look at your phone yet. Just stand there. This one habit sets your circadian rhythm for the day, boosts serotonin, drops cortisol, and dramatically improves the sleep you'll get that same night. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has made this famous for a reason. And for someone in heartbreak, where sleep is almost always wrecked, this is one of the single highest leverage habits you can possibly build. Food matters more than it feels like it matters right now. When you're deep in grief, your appetite gets weird. You either can't eat anything or you eat everything that isn't nailed down. Both are completely normal reactions. But try to feed yourself the way you'd feed a small child that you love. Simple, warm, regular. Some protein, some vegetables, water, maybe a warm drink. Your brain cannot manufacture serotonin and dopamine out of thin air. It needs raw materials. Ice cream and wine at midnight are not going to give your nervous system what it needs to rebuild itself. And sleep. Please protect your sleep. Heartbreak destroys sleep, and lack of sleep destroys your ability to regulate literally any emotion. It's a brutal loop. If you can't sleep, try not to panic about it. Get out of bed, dim the lights, read something gentle, do those long exhales we talked about. Avoid screens after 10 at night like they're on fire, because the blue light really does mess with the chemistry you're trying so hard to rebuild. Even just lying in bed with your eyes closed and slow breathing gives your nervous system a big chunk of what sleep would. You are not broken if you can't sleep. You're in recovery. Here's something that might sound strange, but will genuinely change how you go through this. Put your hand on your own chest. Right now. Just rest it there, flat over your heart. And try saying silently or out loud something like, "This is really hard and I'm doing the best I can." That's it. That is self-compassion. Researcher Kristen Neff has shown across dozens of studies that self-compassion lowers cortisol, increases heart rate variability, and speeds emotional recovery more reliably than self-esteem does. Be the friend to yourself that you'd easily be to anyone else going through the same thing. Something important to watch out for. That voice in your head that's saying things like, "You should be over this by now," or "Nobody will ever love you again," or "It was probably your fault." That voice is not telling you the truth. It's a scared, very young part of you that learned to protect itself with criticism a long time ago. When it shows up, try noticing it instead of believing it. You can say to it, kindly, "I hear you, I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I've got this one." You are not your inner critic. You are the one listening to it, with the power to choose what to do next. Here's something nobody tells you. A lot of what you're actually missing isn't them. It's who you were when you were with them. The version of yourself that felt chosen, excited, hopeful, anchored. That version of you is not gone. They didn't take it with them when they walked out the door. That was always yours. It's still yours. And it's about to meet a deeper, more grounded version of itself through exactly what you're walking through right now if you let it. So be careful not to hand them credit for a light that was always burning inside of you. And please don't go down the "what if they're happier with someone else" rabbit hole. That movie in your head is almost always a lie. You're comparing your darkest moment to a highlight reel that you are literally making up in your mind. Real life for them is not a montage. It's laundry and traffic and their own quiet pain that you don't see. You don't have to wish them harm. You just don't have to torture yourself with a fantasy that isn't even real. When you catch yourself there, come back to your breath, back to your feet on the ground, back to this exact moment. Music is a double-edged sword right now. The songs that remind you of them will absolutely wreck you. And for a while, the algorithm will seem to find them on purpose. Be gentle with your playlists. Make new ones if you need to. Research on music and grief shows that music engages some of the same reward pathways as human connection, which is exactly why it hits both ways. Use that. Put on something unfamiliar, something big, something that makes your own body feel like a place worth living in again. Let the right music be a soft hand on your back. At some point, and you can't force this, but at some point you will start seeing this relationship differently. Not as the love story that failed, but as the specific teacher that you needed. It will show you what you're willing to accept, what you'd never accept again, what you actually want, and what you're capable of giving. That kind of clarity is expensive. You're paying for it right now. But it's real, and it's yours to keep forever. The next chapter of your life is already being quietly shaped by exactly what you're learning in these weeks. Here's the real reason all of this works. Your brain is plastic. It rewires itself. Every single habit, every walk, every long exhale, every night of okay sleep, every call to a friend is literally reshaping your neural pathways. The researchers call this neuroplasticity. I like to picture it as water carving a new path through a field. The old path was worn very deep, yes, but every time you choose a different action, you're walking a new one. Slowly at first, then more easily, then eventually automatically. This is how actual change happens inside a human being. Something nobody really warns you about. The pain doesn't usually disappear in a single dramatic movie moment. It fades out slowly like a tide. One morning, you'll notice you didn't think of them until 10 in the morning instead of the second you opened your eyes. Then a whole afternoon. Then a whole day. Then a week where they only crossed your mind twice. That is what healing actually looks like. It isn't a breakthrough. It's a slow, quiet reclaiming of your own attention. Please celebrate the tiny wins. They are the only wins there really are. About the timeline. I won't lie to you. The serious studies on breakup recovery put the acute, most painful phase somewhere around 8 to 12 weeks, and roughly 6 months to 2 years for the deeper patterns to fully rewire, depending on how long and how deep the bond was. That might feel unbearable to hear right now, I know. But knowing the timeline is weirdly comforting. You are not behind schedule. You are exactly where a healing nervous system is supposed to be on this specific day of the process. Wherever you are today is allowed. If you take only one thing from this video, please take this. You are not losing yourself. You are meeting a version of yourself that was partly held together by a relationship that isn't here anymore. That can feel a lot like dying. It's actually a lot more like molting. Something thin and outgrown is peeling away, and something more solid is underneath, waiting. The chest pain, the sleepless nights, the cravings, they are signs that your nervous system is doing exactly what it evolved to do, in exactly the right order. You don't need to rush it. You just need to not abandon yourself while it happens. So here's your simple plan for today. Long exhales anytime your chest tightens up. A 10-minute walk outside, ideally in morning light. One meal your body would actually thank you for. One person you reach out to, even just to say hi. No contact with your ex, as much as you humanly can. One page of writing about what's true right now. And one moment, just one, of your hand on your own chest, kindly. That's it. That's today. You do not have to solve your whole life today. You just have to meet today. One last thing before you go. Somewhere underneath all of this pain, there's a part of you that is quietly, fiercely trying to survive. That part of you found this video. That part of you pressed play and stayed. Please be tender with it. You've loved someone, and that is a rare and beautiful thing to be capable of in this world. You will love again, probably more skillfully, more gently, more fully, because of exactly what you're walking through right now. So breathe. One long exhale. You're going to be okay. You already are. And hey, quick thing before I go. If any of what we talked about today landed, there's a 3D game called Inner Phoenix made for exactly this kind of work. You walk through it like a quiet temple with rooms for what you're observing, what you're feeling, what you need, and what you might try next. It's built on the same ideas we just covered. No pressure at all. It's just there in the description below whenever you want it. Take care of yourself today. I mean it.